I'm not sure particularly why, but she does like to be the last one in at night.
Great. Question from Amanda. Will Brian be moving to another group or staying within the nursery?
We don't have any plans to move anyone out of Sally's group at the moment. Brian, although he's very big and he looks like quite a big individual to be in the nursery group, mentally he's still quite a young boy and he's got a lot of development to do. So at the moment we're going to keep him in this group.
Okay, question now from Tay. Can you envisage Sally being a foster mum in the future, or are her mummy duties over now?
We can't really answer that question, to be honest. We could obviously at any time get more babies coming into Monkey World, or there's a chance we won't get any more. So at the moment we don't know. There's obviously always a chance of it though.
Okay, question now from Janet. She says that for quite a long time now she's seen Sally and Brian grooming in quite an adult looking way. And they appear more like equals rather than mother and baby. What do you think of that?
And obviously the relationship between Brian and Sally's has changed since Brian first came to Sally's group and was quite a young boy. So obviously she doesn't still see him as a baby because he isn't a baby, he is a strong male. And she's got to create a relationship with him. She obviously realises that he's sticking around in the group. So the grooming is just part of creating those bonds and making sure their relationship stays strong, which while Brian's growing up is obviously really important.
Another question from Janet. She would like to know if Brian has much of a relationship with Lulu.
I think Brian does have quite a relationship with Lulu. Obviously he does have a relationship with pretty much everyone in the group. It's probably not as strong as the relationship he has with, say, Rodders or Ash, mainly because obviously Brian quite likes to wind up Lulu every now and again, and Lulu does get wound up by him quite easily, but he does have a pretty strong relationship with pretty much everyone in the group.
Okay, and a question from Natalie, focusing again still on Lulu. She would like to know who Lulu is closest to in the group.
I think Lulu's still closest to Sally. Sally does spend a lot of time with Ash now as Ash is getting older, but I still say that Lulu's probably closest to Sally in the group.
Great. Now I love this question from Joanne. She would like to know if Rodders and Ash are still being mischievous, or are they calming down as they get older? I think certainly Rodders doesn't appear to be calming down at all.
I don't think Rodders has calmed down much actually. Ash definitely has done. She's a growing female. She's spending a lot more time with Sally and Lulu now and doing adult things, and she's not as interested in messing around like Rodders is. Every now and again though, Rodders can manage to persuade her to join in a bit of a game, but Rodders is definitely the most mischievous individual in here.
That's great. Now lots of people have asked how they sleep at night, and one question in particular is, do the group tend to snuggle together at night, and if so, who sleeps with who?
As far as we know, none of these individuals sleep together. It tends to be only a real young infant that will nest in with its mother. So chimps in general tend to have their own nest. What we do know is Lulu likes to nest on the platform by the window in the playroom, and the rest of them seem to go to the back bedrooms. But from what we see with the nest in the morning, they don't seem to nest together.
Okay, that's great. Now, lots of questions. We're trying to get through as many as possible. A question from Lisa. She says Rodders gets very animated when he sees her niece, and he gets stones from the enclosure and tends to start throwing them. She doesn't do anything to cause this reaction. He just seems to do it. Why does Rodders do this?
Rodders obviously known for liking children. He does tend to react to them. It's not just people coming to see him, but it's something a bit interesting and different for him. I think sometimes maybe he does get a little bit frustrated because he can't fully interact with people, and that does tend to be where the stone throwing comes from. And obviously it's a behaviour that we try not to encourage.
So it is something that he does to get a reaction. So what would you advise our supporters when they come and visit Sally's group in particular, and Rodders starts doing his stone throwing stuff? What would you advise our supporters to do?
The best thing you can do when you come to Sally's group is try and stay quiet, try not to interact with them too much, because anything you tend to do that reacts to the situation they do, so if you they throw a stone or hit the window and you scream or you jump back, that's a reaction, and they think obviously that's quite funny, so they'll keep doing that, and it just escalates the whole situation. The best thing you can do is just stay calm, stay quiet, and just enjoy watching them.
That's great. Just one last question. We've got time for one more. Actually, we'll try and fit in two. Question from Teresa. Does Sally have any current health problems? Is she good for her age?
Sally's doing very well. She's obviously 25 years old now, so she's still quite a relatively young chimp. Chimps can live up to about 45 in the wild, so she is still a young chimp, and she's doing absolutely fine.
Great. And then just this last question, we've had a message from Troy, who's 11 years old. He had a question about the names of the babies that are born at the park, who decides the names, and obviously I can answer that. Generally, it's the staff. We put together a list, and Alison would normally pick a name from it. With certain species, for example, the woolly monkeys, we always try and pick something that suits where they come from and their backgrounds and everything. So, but thanks, Troy, for your interest. We don't have any plans to name any new babies Troy at the moment, but you never know. So thank you to our supporters. We'll bring you the next video update at some point next week.